In this video, we're gonna make some music in the style of Meduza like this.
It's hard to breathe when you're upside down.
Alright, so for those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Vlad and I create superstar music producers. If you're interested in music coaching and you want to work on your music production, sound design, mixing skills, all the links are down below. Feel free to book a call with me or send me a message on Instagram. And without further talking, let's get straight into the video. So let's start with the kick and the bass as usual. So here's how the kick and the bass section sounds for this track, and it's pretty interesting in terms of the sound design. So let's take a listen. So we're gonna start with the kick sound. I made my own kick sound using the synthesizer called Kick 2 by Sonic Academy, because I'm not usually happy with the kicks from sample packs. Let's start with the bass, the sub bass here. So here's how the sub bass sounds. Pretty like basic usual pattern. So now we can take a look at the sound design in Serum. It's really like not a lot of like things happening here. So what we have is basic saw waveform, and we also have this one. I don't know like how it's called. Just sounds like a saw wave as well. And then if I remove the filter and I remove all of the effects, again, it's going to be pretty simple. This is how it sounds on its own. Like super basic sound. So it's pretty much just two saws. The envelope looks like this, pretty plucky, I would say, not a long release, so I guess pretty short. And then we are using a filter here, so MG Low 18, and we are using the filter on both of the oscillators here, so a bit of fat and drive here to give it more power. And then I'm using the same envelope to control the cutoff of the filter just a little bit, because we don't need a lot of top end here. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so now for the processing, I'm using a bit of distortion. We can do like this, pretty basic. The EQ, I wanted to get the same vibe for the bass, so I boosted around 220 something hertz. So it's giving a nice bump, like bump in low mids. Then I'm using compressor in multi-band mode, which is basically like OTC. So it's creating quite nice, crispy sound. And then there's one more filter to smooth the bass. And that's pretty much it for the sub bass, okay? So the next interesting thing that they had in the track was that gliding bass. So if you listen to it, sounds pretty cool. So if you look at the notes, it's basically the same note. I just put it one octave higher. So as you can see, we don't have any sub bass here, like the first sub bass. So if we take a look at the processing here, this one is also really simple. So it's again basically two saw waves. So this is the first one. This is the second one. The envelope looks like this. I didn't really change a lot. Closing the filter here, so it sounds like this. And then a bit of distortion here. Actually, like it's quite a lot of distortion if you look at it. Right? Then the second filter, because I want to roll off the high end. We don't need those frequencies. And then a compressor to smooth the dynamics, because like this glide, there's uneven loudness, which I don't want to have in a sound. All right. And then after that, I'm using like basic EQ here. And then the volume shaper for the sidechain. So as you can hear, we don't need that distortion, so I'm just removing the high frequencies, and that's it. So all together, already like pretty nice and pretty groovy pattern here. I'm liking it a lot. Okay, and now the trickiest part, which I was quite annoyed when I was making this this remake, because I wasn't able to find like the right sound. So I looked through some presets that I had, and then I tweaked some presets and I found this one. But the pattern, it essentially repeats the bass line, except for the part here. So if you take a look at this one, together with the kick. Because it's a top bass, we can have like notes here, so it doesn't like clash with the gliding sub bass, I would say. So let's take a look at the sound design and everything. So this is how it looks like. So we can remove all of the effects here. There's actually like quite a lot, but we're gonna start with the basics. So that was the preset from like a sample pack that I found. And we start with this MB saw. So as you can hear, like really basic sound. Now the second oscillator, the oscillator B, is FM Freak in digital section, and it creates pretty nice metallic kind of feeling. And you can even play with this one. This is like pretty cool sound. So as you can see, we are using FM modulation here, and the filter is MG24, and we are using I think I used second envelope. So the first one, as you can see, pretty long decay, a lot of sustain, long release, but the second envelope is much shorter, as you can see, because I want to give that plucky feeling to the bass. Right, something like this. So it's controlling the filter cutoff, then a bit of drive here, fat as well, mono, don't forget about that. And for this section, it's pretty much it. Now let's talk about the effects. So this one is just like hyperdimension, just adding a bit of space to the bass, which just sounds a bit nicer in the mix because it's top bass. We can use cool effects here. Then a bit of distortion, just to make it nicer. Then the multi-band compressor. So it's really bringing everything like together on top, making some, I think, some upwards compression, because that's OTT, that's classic one. Maybe you can leave it as it is, something like this. Also pretty nice, but then again, depending on the sound, you can change that a bit. Sounds pretty cool. Oh yeah, by the way, the second oscillator, it's not playing, so the level is at 0. We're just using it as a FM modulation here. Okay, so for the chorus, we can add a bit of chorus here if we want. The delay is also, I think I'm not gonna use it because I already have it on the channel. The EQ is not really doing that much. And the reverb, again, like up to your taste. If you want to add some reverb to the top bass, you can do it. But that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna even disable some of the effects that came with this preset. So that's pretty much it for the bass line, for the low end section. So this is how it sounds all together. Like pretty nice, pretty groovy. I'm liking it. So that was like the trick. In terms of the processing for the top layer, I'm using sidechain, but not as aggressive sidechain as I did on the sub bass. So you can see just about 65%, because I want to hear like every single note, because otherwise if I do like, it's like way too much sidechain. I just want to keep that groove going. Okay, so that's it for the low end, and then I'm using a bit of saturation here and quite heavy compression, because the original track, it's like really heavy compressed. So if we disable this one, so short attack, short release, really to compress the kick mostly. All right, now let's talk about the lead sound design. So this is the lead from the original track. Pretty cool, like essentially the same sound. It's so good that I'm actually gonna steal that for my tracks, because it's just really nice. So let's take a look at the sound design here, and again, like it's pretty simple. So just one oscillator, so we're using Icon has kick waveform, and the position is about 160. Okay, so the envelope looks like this. You can tweak it if you want. I decided that I want to use like a plucky one, mono legato as always. The filter is really subtle, so just like MG low 6, and then we are modulating the filter with the envelope one. So without the filter. So as you can hear, with the drive, with the fat, and with the resonance, we are adding a bit of that character and like making it, just adding like more movement. Just sounds a bit nicer. Okay, so for the EQ, we are rolling off the low frequencies if you want to use that like as a lead sound, because I think that could work as a bass as well. So around 210. And then here, a bit of like resonance. You can play with that if you'd like to. Distortion, hard clip mode, and then mix like about 43, and distortion's about 50%. Then we are using a compressor, I think, just to smooth the dynamics here and like make the loudness like more balanced and more even. And then a bit of hyper and dimension, so you can play with that as well. Something like that, and that's pretty much it. Like that's the sound. And one more cool thing that they used in the track, so if you look at the MIDI, what really creates that vibe here is the fact that they are jumping like from octave. So it just creates like really nice vibe that we go from sort of like low notes to the higher ones. And it sounds really cool. Okay, one of the things that I also noticed in the drop here, so if you listen, if you listen this one, and this one, I'm not quite liking the mixing in the original one. I feel like it lacks clarity to me. But if we talk about the lead sound, there's actually one interesting thing that is going on. They layered 2 lead sounds, but what they changed, they put it as a 5th. So basically, we go from A sharp. So from A sharp, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's going to be 5th. So that's an F. So it's essentially the same melody, but we just moved that. And then all together, it creates that nice, lush, and powerful sort of sound in the track. In terms of the sound design, I'm not going to really focus on this sound because again, it's a preset that I found in the preset packs that I use. So the most important thing that they pitched it as a 5th, and then it's just like saw kind of super saw kind of sound, which I decided to use. So yeah, it's just like 2 layers. That's the most important thing to keep in mind, and that's it. So you can put the sound that you like if you want to go for a similar vibe here. Okay, now for the ARP, I think it's like almost the same melody. Maybe I just missed like a couple of notes here, but with the ARP sound, it sounds like this. So the sound itself, like it's a bit different, but the vibe is the same. So how they put the melody, how they used it in the track, I did the same thing. So for the sound design, it's super simple if you want to use this sound. So it's just increase the tag here just to give it sort of this little fade kind of effect. Then for the oscillator B, we're using this wavetable. And then, excuse me, that was for the oscillator A. And then for the oscillator B, dist this one, okay? Then just one envelope, which is controlling the filter here. So like this, mono. And then a bit of EQ here, just rolling off the high frequencies. Let's disable just for a second. Okay, making it cleaner in the mix. A bit of distortion to add more grit to it, because I just wanted to. Multi-band OTT compression to really squash it. And then one more filter, which is rolling off the low frequencies again. About 300 Hertz. And in a track. It sounds pretty cool. Again, it's more about the logic, so I wasn't trying to like remake 100% the same, just to show you guys the logic and how you can utilize the same elements and the same vibe. Okay, so that's it for the ARP sound, and then we just have a bit more, but that's pretty much it. So again, I use the drone. They have a drone in the original one, and it's a basic preset from Ableton. So magnetic strings. You can search in instruments like magnetic strings. I use it a lot. Sounds like a violin here. And then one more sound that they have is this brass sound. It's really close to the original one, not the same, but the logic is the same. So it's a brass sound with a lot of reverb. If you look at the sound design, it's wavetable, essentially 2 saw waveforms, but this one is going a little bit more towards the square. So if you listen, sounds like a square, and this one is a saw. Then we are using unison here in shimmer mode, so 5 voices, 50% amount. And then the envelope 2, if you look at it, it has pretty long delay here, and it's controlling the frequency, so the filter. As you can see, looks like this. Then a bit of distortion, just to make it more powerful. A filter to roll off the high frequencies here, and then Valhalla Supermassive to give it like a nice, lush, beautiful tail. So that's it for the instruments, as you can see. And the last thing that I want to talk about, like real quick, the drums. So the drums are like pretty simple. I use loops because it's just fast, convenient, like easy. So this is sort of like melodic techno or like melodic house kind of drum loop. So it's already giving you the same vibe, the same energy. Then the open hat. Then one more open hat, but this time is with MIDI. With a bit of reverb here. Just to give it more like ambience. For the clap, I layered 4 samples here, which sounds like this. We can disable this one. Could be pretty cool. Maybe like this. So also pretty nice. So I just wanted to make a similar clap, but to my personal taste, I would do like this. And then the last thing is going to be the rate. So all together, it sounds like this. So that's pretty much it for the whole track, and the track is really simple. If you look at all of the instruments and everything, it's like super minimalistic, and that's, again, the more I remake some of the projects, like the tracks, the more I understand that simplicity is really the key in music, and that's the thing that you want to have in your tracks as well. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is going to be a bit of master processing. So I put OTT to give it this sort of like a bright and really flat kind of sound, because without the OTT, so it's like pretty nice, but I felt like for this track it would make sense. So OTT standard settings, just about 25%. It's just bringing everything like up front, and it's making the track sound like really nice. And I tweaked the time here as well. Pretty cool. So that's pretty much it for this track. As you can see, again, really simple. So I hope you learned something new in terms of the sound design and techniques and production strategies. So as always, thank you for watching. If you're interested in coaching, all the links are down below, and I see you in the next video.